All right, half marathon completed. One more event left. That's the full marathon in August. But before we get into that, let's get into how the half marathon went. And it was a blast. As you guys know, I did my half marathon this past Sunday. This is the Orange County half marathon in Newport Beach that took place. Absolutely phenomenal. A lot of wins, a lot of ups and downs, but I am just so grateful and thankful for the experience itself. It was an absolute blast, and getting my finisher's medal was one of the best things that's happened to me in a long time. So, let me get into what happened this past weekend. So let's start off with recap with Friday. So Friday was the expo. I went with my daughter, and it's my first time ever going to a running expo, and it was absolutely amazing. Never seen so many people out there plugging their bibs, checking out the stands. I also didn't realize just how much free stuff you get. I got this like giant box of matcha. I got a bunch of Celsius, just a lot of stuff that they give out for free, and I was just like, whoa, this is freaking awesome. So it was an absolutely phenomenal time. I got my bib that day, I got my t-shirt and everything. So we actually also saw the finish line as well. It was awesome. That Friday also, as far as my prep for the half marathon, I did a quick 5 mile run just to kind of get the shakeout done. I know on Saturday it was gonna be a busy day for me from travel and all that kind of stuff. So I did my shakeout run on Friday instead, just to keep my legs warm. As I mentioned in my previous video, I did a taper this week just because I want to make sure I kind of give my body the full rest. It also happened to coincide with the deload week for my full marathon training plan, so which is perfect. So there was a lot less miles, a lot less intensity, and it was freaking awesome. So worked out perfectly for me as far as scheduling goes, and I felt really, really prepared for the race itself. So Saturday was very, very busy for us. My daughter had an event in the morning that we had to go to, and right after that, we pretty much packed and went to the hotel, which was going to be hosting the full and the half marathon. It was perfect because the hotel happened to be right next to the start line, so which was awesome. Literally, I could just wake up in the morning and just go downstairs, and there's the start line. It was perfect. So we definitely got lucky with the hotel situation. On Saturday itself, I just kind of made sure I rested up a little bit. I know I was trying to stay off my feet as much as I can just to kind of give my body the rest I needed. I felt pretty good. I definitely didn't feel like I wanted to run. I wanted to just give myself the full time to recover and be ready for the next morning. Definitely took in a lot of electrolytes that day. We went out for dinner. Got a lot of pasta, pizza, just carb load as much as we can. Got some donuts, which were amazing. These bacon maple donuts, fantastic. And then pretty much just rested after that. So again, did my 2 electrolytes that day. Got my gear ready for the next morning. Prepared my sandwiches, my breakfast sandwiches that I'm going to be having the morning of. As far as the gear that I laid out to wear for the day of the half marathon, I'm running with a Prime X2 Strung, like I mentioned in my previous video. It was definitely a very, very good shoe that I had trained with in the past, where it gave me a lot of bounce, a lot of propulsion. I will kind of, talk about it later on, but also kind of a mistake that I chose this shoe, and I'll explain why later. And then as far as fueling strategy goes, I packed in 3 gels because I plan to take gels every 4 miles. So I packed in the 3 gels and get that ready as well in the back pocket. So everything was good to go the night before, and I felt really, really rested and ready to go the next morning. So the morning of the race was great. I was very, very prepared. I took in my final hydration. I drank some coffee and tried to make sure I go to the bathroom before I can. Ate my sandwiches, and everything was working out pretty well. Didn't get the best sleep the night before just because I was so anxious about the race itself. I didn't want to miss the start time and all that kind of stuff. So I was like waking up every other hour pretty much. And honestly, I don't really sleep too well in hotel rooms. It's just not very comfortable for me compared to my bed at home. So I was kind of, I wouldn't say I was tired the morning of at all. I felt really energized, especially after I had a Celsius in the morning. I was up and ready to go. So I'm not going to blame me not meeting my goal on fatigue. I was not fatigued at all. It felt really, really good overall. So the start time for the actual half marathon was 6:30. And then the marathons were starting at 5:30. So for me, I still had a little bit of time, and I was in Corral D, so I really didn't start until like almost 6:45, 6:50 ish. Because the event was so big and there's so many people and there's so many corrals, I was honestly very, very confused and lost. So I ended up running with Corral E instead because by the time I realized where I needed to be, Corral D had just taken off, and I was like, oh crap. So then I just got with Corral E and ran with them instead. I also wanted to just say thank you to my beautiful wife, my beautiful daughter for being there. It just meant so much to me. They made signs and they were so happy for me. I know this whole marathon journey was something that just kind of sprung onto my wife last minute. I literally turned 39 and I looked at her and I was like, I want to run a marathon before I turn 40. And she's like, what? Like, when did you ever decide this? She's like, I didn't even know you like running. I'm like, I don't like running. That's the thing. I want to really challenge myself. I want to see if I can really do it. And she's like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And like, whatever you need to do to support you, I will be there to do it. And so seeing her and my daughter at the start line was something that I will always remember. They made some awesome signs. Got to take some pictures with them, and so passing them in the beginning, it would just kind of really got me even more motivated to finish this race and just enjoy myself throughout the whole race. So that was one of the things I will always remember, is just seeing them in the start line and also the finish line as well. Okay, so going into the race, I was planning to really take a lot of videos. I did take a few when I was starting off. The first like 6 miles of the race is pretty much downhill. I think it's about a 600 or 700 feet drop from the beginning to the 600 miles. So I was going very fast. I felt really good. I was like, I had to go at a pace of 11:20 per mile to reach my goal of 2 hours and 30 minutes. And I think I was running around 10 something in the beginning because it was all downhill. So I felt really good. And of course, I would forget the main advice is kind of watch your pace in the beginning. Don't fall for the vibes, the environment, or the decline. Make sure you pace yourself properly so you have enough energy in the later on in the run. And I realized that was a mistake I made later on the run. But I still definitely went a lot faster than I was expecting to go out. I think if you guys see the splits, the first like 5 miles, I was running around 11:05 or 11:10 per mile. I'll have it up on the screen for you guys to look at. Honestly, for me, I was hoping to take a lot more videos, a lot more B-rolls of what I was running in. But I think around mile 3, I realized that it was going to be really difficult for me to do both. And because my first marathon, I just wanted to take it all in, just experience what I need to experience. And, the race itself is beautiful. The course, the scenery, the homes, the beach that was running next to, it was all amazing. So the last thing I wanted to do was fiddle with my phone and try to get the right shot and all that kind of stuff. So pretty much at mile 3, I just said, you know what, just forget it. I'm going to put my phone down and just focus on running and enjoy this moment, enjoy my run overall. So I just put it away, and unfortunately, I don't have much footage for you guys from the race itself. But hopefully, I can kind of visualize and paint a picture for you as far as race, how it broke down throughout the rest of the event. So, like I mentioned, the first 6 miles were pretty much downhill. I think around it was around mile 8 and 9 is when I really started to feel and hit the wall. That's when my pace really dropped. That's when I started to slow down, started walking a lot more, and then my last few miles of the race was just run walk pretty much. It wasn't necessarily that my body was cramping, nothing like that. I felt great. Honestly, like my hydration was good. I was hitting every single water station. If there's Gatorade, I would drink the Gatorade. I was taking my gels on time. Everything was good. I just honestly got really, really tired towards the end. And I could feel my heart rate going super, super high. I think at one point I was at 185. And I said, you know what, I need to really slow down because the hills really kicked my butt. I'll be honest with you about that as well. And so that's when I had to really slow down and bring my heart rate down a little bit just because I didn't want to, like, again, have a negative experience in all of this stuff. I know there were a lot of runners that I was passing that were either cramping up so much or they had to pull over to the side or get somebody to help them up, whatever it was. It was definitely something that I didn't want to happen to myself. So that's why I made sure I just really focused on finishing the race. And that's why my pace had dropped significantly after around mile 9. So I finished the half marathon at a time of 2 hours and 37 minutes. and some seconds. And my average pace was around 11:37. So around 17 seconds away from what I needed to be at. And again, that's pretty much because after mile nine, I was in a run walk mode the whole time. Honestly, I was hoping to get to a 2:30. I felt like my training had prepared me for it. But, the day of, I never had practice in hills before. And the issue of my shoes came up at that time as well. And the shoes again were great. They gave me exactly what I wanted. They gave me that bounce, they gave me that propulsion. They were good on my knees. I felt no pain whatsoever as far as my knees go. But I started forming a lot of blisters because that upper in that Adidas shoe is so not proper that like it really hurt me and got me a lot of blisters in both feet, both of my feet pretty much. But most of my left leg was hurting me the most, and that's why I really had to slow down too because I can feel it rubbing up against my toes rubbing up against the upper. And because the road itself is a little windy, this 50 millimeter stack really makes my entire foot move around. I have to be very careful about how I turn in that shoe because I could easily roll my ankle because of how high that stack is. So I kind of wish I would have just ran this shoe in Super Blast 2s because that's the shoe that I feel really comfortable in. But I just felt like I needed that extra propulsion that the carbon plates provide. That was the unfortunate thing about the shoes. There was a good parts where it felt really good when I was going in a straight line, but then at the same time, that upper was just brutal for me. So obviously, I want to make sure next time I have the proper shoes. I may run my marathon in my Super Blast, but again, there are a couple other shoes I want to try out. I think I'll stay away from the Adidas Super shoes for a while, at least for the long runs. They do work really well for me when I do my fast interval training, but if I have to be on my feet for a very long time, like the marathon will eventually happen to be in, I don't think I'm going to be wearing those because they do really cause a lot of foot pain for me, at least, especially because I have a wider foot. My toes really were rubbing against that upper pretty bad. Towards the end, I ran out of gas. I had gone out way too strong in the beginning. And of course, coming across the finish line, seeing my daughter, my wife there, and all the supporters. I mean, the support was absolutely amazing. I have never run in such a large crowd before, so they pretty much propelled me towards the end because, again, the last mile and a half, I just tried to run as fast as I possibly could with the amount of force I could, and they were just so supportive. And then obviously seeing the two of them at the end, it was an awesome experience overall. I'm just so grateful to be able to do one like this, and I cannot wait to do more. If anything, this whole half marathon event has motivated me for my marathon and for my future runs because I just want to experience that again, that feeling of the crowd, of the energy that they provide, and then of course seeing your loved ones there support you, even though they were taken by complete surprise. Just seeing them there was absolutely amazing. All right, so now it's 2 days after the marathon. I just got my easy run done and had some time to think about the event itself. And as I mentioned during my recap, it didn't quite hit the what I was hoping for, but again, I was just so happy with being able to do it. As you guys know, and my whole journey for this running channel is started on pretty much me wanting to run my full marathon before I turn 40. And so I've done my 5K, my 10K, and now my half. And there's just one last thing remaining, that's the full marathon. So I am more energized and more motivated for that marathon than I was before going into the half marathon. There was a moment where I think around mile not 1 mile, I think it was around mile 10, where I was like, if I had to run another 13 miles after this race, I couldn't do it, right? That mental thing came in. But after now reflecting back on it, I'm just like, you know what? I could do this. I just got to make sure I train and I'm properly training for the conditions I'll be going in. One of the lessons I learned from this half marathon is I didn't really do a lot of hill training, and that's this half marathon did have quite a few hills, not super steep ones, nothing like the Boston Marathon, like a giant hill, but it was a lot of ups and downs. You're going through neighborhoods. It's in a nice residential area overlooking the beach. So there's definitely a lot of hills and all that kind of stuff. And I never really prepared for it, right? So What I want to do for my marathon now is that I'm going to make sure I train for the condition that that marathon will be in. So the marathon's in August, and which is usually midsummer, where the heat is the worst in California, in Southern California. It's in the valley, so it's gonna be even hotter, and it's gonna be very, very hot that day. So I'm gonna make sure as I prepare for this and when it starts to get hot outside, I'm gonna do all my long runs outdoors. I'm not gonna do it in the comfort of my home, unless if I absolutely have to. If I'm busy, then I'll do it at home. But I will make sure I prioritize doing the long runs outside in the heat, just so I can prepare myself for it. Like prepare for that heat that's gonna eventually happen later on. I don't want to be in the comfort of my home or a treadmill, or under AC and feeling good, running in good weather for however many much distance, and then I go out there and it's no 20 degrees hotter than what I'm used to training, and I'll just break down that day, right? So I rather just get that training in now and prepare myself and know how I need to do my proper hydration, fueling, all that kind of stuff will be better fit for that marathon. So that's what I plan to do for the full marathon that's going to be happening in, I guess, 3 months now, pretty much to this day. So it'd be a lot of fun. Cannot wait, and it's gonna be another great training block that I'm gonna be having to finish off this training plan. Well, there you guys have it. Again, I apologize for the structure of the video. I just wanted to kind of get my raw emotion, my raw output out there. I didn't really plan this whole video out. I just wanted to come on here and share with you guys how the event went overall. And again, I completely enjoyed it. A big thank you to all of you who have commented in my previous video wishing me luck for this. I just love that the community is so supportive, whether it's online or even it's just when you're running outside in events like this. I just love that the running community is so supportive. I've never been a part of this kind of a community before. So I'm just thankful for all of you for giving me the well wishes for the half marathon. And as always, thank you guys for watching these videos. And now the training does really begin for my full marathon. So I'll be making sure I update you guys on how that training is going, how I'm preparing, and we will get that done too. So I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. They do not understand it, 'cause I've been sharpening my blade. I'm here to spread a message.